All right, so this is our first RuPaul's Drag Race themed episode. So I wanted to introduce my friend Jay,
Hello.
and we're going to start by talking about why we love RuPaul's Drag Race. So Jay, why do you love RuPaul's Drag Race?
I love it because RuPaul gets the most boisterous, loud personalities in this country to come to her show and just entertain us. I mean, it's obviously won awards for the type of entertainment that they give the country. I love the drag queens because they come from all kinds of different backgrounds, different communities. They give back to the community. It's always nice to hear their backstories of where they've come from and where they've been and where they're going. It's just, I can't get enough of it.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I love getting to know the queens, getting to know where they came from and how they got into the business. And I love that it's not just all drama. I mean, there's the right amount of drama to keep you interested, but at the same time, it's really about them sharing the stories of their lives and developing and honing their skills as drag queens. The other thing that I really love about the show is I relate to it a lot because I'm really into cosplay, and drag really is a form of cosplay. They're cosplaying as women. They find their inspiration by creating a female character that they do every week, and I find my inspiration through dressing as superheroes and characters from other shows. So, Jay, who are some of your favorite drag queens?
My favorite three are, first is Raja. She was the season 3 winner. She's a fashion girl. Her looks are always amazing. Her walk on the runway, the costumes that she makes. I just love her to death. Not many people know this about her, but she used to work on America's Next Top Model as a makeup artist. Work with Tyra Banks. That was a good show back in the day. But she's my favorite. And then my other two are Milk. He's kind of a goofy queen. His drag is pretty out there. I enjoy it. He's entertaining. And then my other one is Bianca Del Rio. I love her just because she's very quick-witted. She reads people to filth. She comes from a place of love. So, I mean, she can insult you and still make you feel good about yourself. It's just, she just has that knack and talent for it. So those are my favorite queens so far.
So I'll pick up where you left off because Bianca Del Rio is actually my all-time favorite. I just love that she can read you for filth, but you still love her to death, and people are clamoring to get her to insult them. I actually think of her as more of a comic than a drag queen sometimes because she's just so funny, and I can't help but laughing. And every once in a while she's a little bit of an asshole, just like her puppet on season 3. I also really love Ben de la Creme. I'm excited. We'll both see Bianca soon, and I'll get to see Ben de la Creme soon. So I'll get to see two of my favorites here coming up. I love Bendela because she's such a professional queen. She gets accused of being like a showgirl sometimes, but I love that she describes herself as terminally delightful because she's one of the few drag queens that doesn't rely necessarily on throwing shade. Not that it's a bad thing, but it's like her own unique personal style. She's just there to be campy, fun, and artsy. And I would say my other favorite is Jinx Monsoon. I've talked about her in previous Steven Universe videos since she's voicing a character on that show. I really love her because gives you that throwback to old Hollywood, but she's still that campy, funny, goofy kind of character. I know she got read for that a lot, but she just is so upbeat and positive, and I think that's what I liked about the three of them is they really have represented themselves really, really well. So, Jay, what's your favorite season of Drag Race so far?
I would say I have two favorites, but my first favorite is season 5. That was the season that had Jinx Monsoon, Detox, Alyssa Edwards, Coco Montrese, Roxy, Alaska. That season was just very entertaining from the beginning to the end. I mean, we had the drama between Coco and Alyssa. Detox was out there, she was pretty entertaining, pretty funny. Alaska being Sharon Needles' boyfriend and trying to audition every year, every opportunity to get on the show, and finally made it. Roxy for the shade he kept throwing at Jinx. It was just a very entertaining season. My other favorite was season 6, just because a lot of the characters, a lot of drama between Laganja and Adore. That was pretty funny. And Bianca Del Rio, obviously, she's pretty much the reason why I love season 6 so much. But yeah, those are my favorites.
Yeah, I have to agree. Season 6 is my all-time favorite. Ben de la Creme and Bianca both came from season 6. And I feel like that season, each season kind of has their own special theme to it and the types of queens that they pick to kind of fill those roles and kind of challenge them. And what I really loved about season 6 was there were so many acting challenges that you really got to see how they could think on their feet. And another queen I didn't mention before that I really liked from season 6 is Caught in the Act, because I love that she works so hard not only to be a great performer, but she's also trying to make a positive impact on the gay community. She does a lot of videos on gender identity and helping to educate people about trans people. And I just overall think that she's a great person. And there's just a lot of like really great personalities from that season that I would love to see more of on All-Star seasons. I don't feel like they've tapped into season 6. They tapped into season 5, that's for sure. Yeah. They've pretty much used that one up. But season 6, I'd love to see more of them in All-Stars. Alright, so let's start talking about season 3 of All-Stars. So we'll start talking about some of the queens. Let's start with Aja. So what are your thoughts on Aja since season 9 or throughout season 9?
Aja, she was very famous for Instagram. She does very well with her makeup. Very polished with that aspect. But then I was pretty surprised when she was in front of the cameras for RuPaul. Wasn't obviously not the same because she didn't have the filters or whatnot. But she does have a very good idea of what her vision is for her makeup when she does apply it to herself. It just wasn't the same on camera as it was obviously on Instagram or whatever else she uses for social media. She kind of threw some shade at Valentina towards the beginning of the season just because Valentina was doing very well. Aja was used to being the top dog in where she was from, and to come into this competition and see someone else doing better and obviously winning right off the bat, it just made her feel insecure about herself. But I do like that Aja did come to Valentina and apologize to her, and they kind of mended that turmoil that they had between them. And then the biggest turnoff for me for Aja was when she threw a fit when she got a role she didn't want for one of the challenges, the 92 went home. But obviously RuPaul sees something in her and is giving her a second chance, so we'll see how she does.
So I 100% agree, and I think that I loved how Aja addressed her kind of the shade she threw to Valentina. She's like, I wasn't coming for her, I was just aggressively complimenting her. And so I really love that. She was a good sport about it. I think that you're right. She had a lot of maturing that she needed to do. She was a very young queen. She relied on kind of like that Instagram lifestyle that we see so much today where, yes, their life looks perfect, their makeup looks flawless, but you don't know how many takes that took to get that. I mean, even this episode here, haven't been perfect or flawless even in this take, let alone some of the previous ones you're not even going to see. So I think that's something that she definitely had to learn, is she had to be more on her game. She wasn't going to have as much time to get things done. I really think, though, that what RuPaul probably sees in her this season is right before she got eliminated, they said, this is the best that you've looked for us. You're really starting to find your own. You're like hitting that taste level that you need to hit. And I think that they realized that she was kind of like one of those Shangela situations where this might have been too soon for her, but with what she learned, she can bring back and be more fierce for All-Stars Season 3. Overall, I liked it. I like that she kind of has her own House of Drag now. She has a lot of great queens that she works with. I don't know if they worked with her before Drag Race, but it sounds like she's got like a great support system and she's learning and helping others, so that's a good thing. And that's really all I really have to say about Aja. I think she is going to come back. I think she's going to surprise us a little bit this season. All right, so up next we have Bendela Creme. So what are your thoughts on Bendela Creme from season 6?
I like Bendela a lot. She was very funny, very nice in her season, very polished. She came in there with her showgirl costumes, and she was criticized for that, but she stood by it. That's her aesthetic, and she shouldn't have to change that for anybody. I mean, obviously with RuPaul and the competition, they do want to see her with other looks, but I mean, she did that, but I mean, she stuck to who she was and stood her ground. And another thing I liked about Bendela was that she was very very kind, very she just like let it roll off of her when people were throwing shade at her. Darian Lake was very, negative towards her, and she, very much just didn't let it phase her at all. I mean, she kept to her kindness, and she was nice to her, and overall, she was just very, very good queen to me. I mean, she did very well for the Snatch Game. She was Maggie Smith, very funny. I remember her saying that she had never done a British accent before, pulled it off very well. She was just very funny. So I'm looking forward to seeing what she's going to bring for All Stars 3.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think that going back to what you said about kind of just them calling her out and saying that she's a pageant queen, which really surprised me during her season. Because in the past, we've seen pageant queens who can't do anything but like be precise and flawless and pretty. But she was giving us characters. She was giving us comedy. She was giving us creativity. It's just her look and aesthetic was very much like a pageant queen. And I think it's just because, I mean, let's be real, she's classy. Like, she's always been classy. And goes along with what you said about how she's handled some of the shade thrown at her. I love Bendela because, I know I'm biased, I talked about her before, but I really love, she's just really professional. And I think that if she was on a different season, she would have been a winner because there was so many big personalities that season. And some of them were big for the right reasons and some of them were big for the wrong reasons. And I think because Bendela was such a class act and that she really presented herself very professionally, she kind of got overlooked, even though she was hitting the mark in a lot of the challenges. So I think that Bianca Del Rio overshadowed her quite a bit. Laganja overshadowed her. Adore, I don't know what she was doing all season, but she got a lot of attention. And I think that Bendela just fell short of being right there in your face as much as they were. So I really look forward to her being in a completely different group and seeing where she finds her niche in this group of drag queens, because I really think that she hits or checks a lot of the boxes that RuPaul and the judges are looking for. Plus, she looks like one of my favorite judges, Michelle Visage, so she's obviously a looker. All right, let's talk about Chi Chi DeVayne.
Southern Queen. She was from season 8. Just trying to think back on that season with her. She always said that she does what was in her range of doing. She claimed to be, not financially set. She was in a bankruptcy. But I mean, I thought that she did pretty well with what she had to work with. I mean, she made it to the top 4, obviously. She was very funny, very entertaining. She did have moments too where she kind of batted with the queens a little bit, but she always apologized. She always owned up to what, she felt she was wrong in something. She admitted it and apologized for it and moved on. So, I mean, she does have a very, in my opinion, a good character. But, I mean, that's really all I have on Chi Chi. I mean, I think that she'll do pretty well on season or All Stars 3.
Yeah, I'll be 100% honest. The first time I watched season 8, I really didn't like Chi Chi. She kind of reminded me in some aspects of some of the other queens that kind of got comfortable and started coasting. I mean, not mentioning any names, cough, cough, Valentina, but
Tyra Sanchez.
But I think that she was trying, but she kind of had this like she already had this image of herself like, oh well, I can't afford to do this, I can't live up to this. And I think that ended up biting her in the butt after a while, because once there was less and less queens to compare her to, they started to see that she was going into a lot of the challenges already defeated. Like, well, I can't do this. I don't have the finances for that. And I think that now that she's had some time to grow up a little bit, she's had some time to like develop her fan base, and she's already gotten some exposure from the show, that she's going to open herself up to more resources, trying new things, and being more comfortable doing different things. So I think that she's going to be another queen that surprises us this season with her development. I think we're going to see that from a lot of the younger queens that were just a little young and green for their seasons, but now they have been galvanized. So I think Chi Chi, we're going to see a different side of her. And I think that, like you said, she has great character. The second time I watched the season, I ended up liking her a lot more because, yes, like you're new and you're still figuring things out, but you are a good person. You're very, very likable. And I saw her as professional and classy as well. Let's talk about Kennedy Davenport.
So Kenny Davenport, she was from season 7. Not one of my favorite seasons of RuPaul, but you know, there were some good moments for that season. What I remember about Kennedy was that she was very polished. She had been in the industry for quite a few years. You know, she's one of those queens that can entertain a crowd. She does flipping and dancing and jumping and kicking. You know, so she's very, very versatile in what she can do as far as performing. The only thing I think about her for being in season 7 was that, you know, that group of girls just, it wasn't the most dynamic group. They didn't have a lot of, you know, like big personalities in that season that kind of like, you know, excel each other to different levels or push each other to doing different things. It was just a very lackluster group of girls for season 7. Ginger Minj actually said that in All Stars 2 about, you know, that season didn't get a lot of hate from it. But I mean, Katya was from that season and she slayed in All Stars 2. I mean, she went to the top 4, won a few challenges. You know, she came back from season 7 and All Stars 2, a completely different, you know, league, and she killed it. So I'm hoping that will be the case for Kennedy for this season, All Stars 3. That she'll just come in there, you know, with a new group of people, a new group of girls that will just kind of push her to go outside of what she, you know, is used to, and just push her out of her own element. Because I think that's what happened for Katya for All Stars 2. So that's my take on Kennedy.
Yeah, and I would have to agree, like, touching back on season 7 in general, is I don't think, like you said, there wasn't a lot of chemistry amongst the queens, so they didn't play off of each other that well. And it wasn't that they weren't it wasn't that they were untalented. I mean, like you said, look at Katya. She rose above and beyond in All Stars 3, I'm sorry, All Stars 2. But what I think that if she's in a different group, she's going to excel differently. Most seasons have like a specific direction and kind of like a specific kind of queen that they're looking for, and the challenges are set up that way, so that way they have a variety of winners. And I don't really feel like season 7 and even season 8, if I'm being 100% honest, had a lot of like, they didn't really have a true north of what they were looking for. I mean, sometimes the critiques were, you're too blue, and then sometimes it was, you were too red. Like, for example, it was just, they were all over the place a little bit. I think there was some disorganization, and I think that the personalities of the queens suffered. So Kennedy Davenport, I think that she's going to surprise us a little bit more too. Like you said, she's like very athletic as a queen. She's a great lip syncer. She's a talented performer. I hope we get to see a lot of that in season 3 of All Stars. I would say what I most remember about Kennedy Davenport is her snatch game. She was terrific, and I think that she took some big risks there. I also think that she was part of that, like, her and Ginger Minj were like considered the old lady brigade, and it was when they were in the top 4, it was those two, and then it was Pearl and Violet, and the younger people who really weren't quite as polished as Ginger and Kennedy were. So I think that she's going to be thrown into a group with a lot more polished people, and then that's going to help her be more competitive and drive herself to be better. And I'm really excited to see that other side of Kennedy Davenport, because like we both said, like, Katya wowed us outside of season 7. So hopefully there's a really talented big personality that's waiting in there that just needs the right combination of people to be unlocked. So let's talk about Milk. Milk does a body good. So what do you think? What are your thoughts of hers from season 6?
As I had previously mentioned, Milk was one of my favorite queens. I do like that he does have his own aesthetic, and he does do drag that's way out there. He did it in season 6, and he did not care. Like the challenge when they had, I forget what challenge it was, but he told them he had like a beard. And I remember Bianca Del Rio said, "Well, I hope you're packed." He didn't care, and I remember Centeno loving his look, except for the beard. But I mean, you know, he stuck to his ground, and he always pushes those limits. The RuPaul lookalike challenge, he went out there bald and in a suit and imitated RuPaul. I mean, and they loved it. So I think Milk has a good eye for what he can do to push limits and, you know, be out there. And I love Milk. I mean, I follow him on Instagram, and the drag that he does today, it's very revolutionary. It reminds me of what we saw with Nina Bonina, with Sasha Velour. He's got a very creative look, and I'm looking forward to seeing him bringing it to season 3 of All Stars. I think he's going to be very good.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I know I say that a lot, but Milk, he was really an artsy queen. And I think in season 6, a lot of them were more personality queens. And I think that Milk was so focused on his drag and his art that he wasn't letting a lot of his personality show to the judges, which ultimately ended up hurting him. I think if he was kind of in a more artsy season, like season 7 seemed to be a little bit more artsy. So it was more artsy, and I think that he would have sailed there because he was serious. He took his art serious. He was young, he was fun, and he was doing his thing. But like we mentioned kind of about Bendel Creme, they kind of got swallowed up in their season. It was just a really stacked group of personalities, and that was a personality-based season. I think that Milk, what advantages he has is he's a really well-rounded individual. He does modeling, does acting, he does his art form of drag, and I think that if he lets his personality shine more through, because he's a really quirky, fun individual, if he lets that personality shine through more in his drag and he's not kind of like a pretty statue when he's on stage, I think that he's going to do really, really well and succeed. The other thing I want to touch on too is he was a big risk taker, and risks are either going to pay off or they're not. And I think they paid off for him a lot in the beginning, but he kind of took some too big of risks later on in the season that I think landed him in the bottom and ultimately sent him home. So hopefully he's balanced himself out a little bit, made some edits to his art a little, and realizes that the judges aren't coming for him. They're just comparing him to everyone else. And they're all there because they're talented, and they're going to have to find something to say about you. So I just hope he is ready for that and is ready to show us who he is as Milk. All right, so let's talk about way back in season 2, Morgan McMichaels.
Morgan McMichaels, season 2. I remember that she did Pink in the Snatch Game, the very first Snatch Game ever. Didn't do too well with that. And then I remember on one of the lip syncs, she was very athletic, like doing backflips, and felt like I was like watching like a gymnastics Olympic, like performance. But I mean, but Morgan, I mean, she's very, very pretty queen, very polished, very, very pretty makeup. I don't really remember that much about Morgan, but she's made her little cameos throughout the seasons, of Drag Race, but that's really about all I remember for Morgan. So kind of like how Tatiana came into All Stars 2, she was also from season 2. Not many people knew who she was, but Tatiana came back and wowed a lot of people in the very first episode even of All Stars 2. So it's possible Morgan will come back and have a wow factor too, and just kind of see what she can do with where she was back in her day and from RuPaul's Drag Race.
Yeah, I think Morgan, like Tatiana does, she has a lot to prove because they've had the longest time since they were on the show in order to improve, develop new skills. So they're really going to have to bring it because they're not necessarily going to have the same fan base that some of the more recent queens from RuPaul's Drag Race has. I really liked Morgan a lot. I've seen her in things outside of Drag Race. I didn't really notice her as much during Drag Race, but outside of that, I've seen her in like different YouTube things and on different interviews and things like that. And I think that she's really become a lot more polished. And the drag's changed so much since her season, so she's really going to have to be able to keep up with those other queens. I think that she's going to do a good job. She's just really going to have to show how much she's changed since her season. I think what I remember most about her is she won the Fear Factor eating challenge. No, she didn't win. I'm sorry. She took second place. Her and, oh my gosh, I can't remember her name. But was it Destiny? Mystique, yes. Her and Mystique, they were the top 2 winners of that Fear Factor eating challenge. And just seeing her down all that food and just like, I did it. I was like, wow, that's a champ. She really wanted to win that spot. So, I mean, she's definitely a hard worker. She relied a little bit on Raven, I think, in that season. She's not going to have those kinds of alliances from her previous season to help her out. So I think that it's going to allow her to come into her own a little bit more and show us more of who she is. But I think that she's going to do well in this season. I mean, Tatiana, she really wowed us. I mean, I wish she'd have been around longer. Thanks, Alaska. But I think that she really got to show what she was here to do, and I think that Morgan's going to do the same. Yeah. So let's talk about Shangela. Honey Lou. Is that how she says it?
Hallelujah.
All right. So what are your thoughts from Shangela? We've seen her a couple times, haven't we? A couple seasons.
I like Shangela a lot. She did rub a lot of the queens the wrong way. Just with her catchphrase "Hallelujah" and always running her mouth. And I mean, I like her a lot. She's very entertaining. She's been doing a lot outside of RuPaul's Drag Race. But obviously she came into season 2 and was the first to go home. RuPaul saw something in her and brought her back for season 3. Came out in a box. And she kind of hit the ground running in season 3. I mean, she was, I believe, if I remember right, she was in the bottom 2 the first episode of season 3 too, and made her way up to top 5 in season 3. So she definitely has improved a lot on her drag, her aesthetic. She didn't know how to sew and make garments and costumes, but just kind of seeing her development over the past few years. I mean, she's come a long way. So, RuPaul obviously saw something in her and is bringing her back in for a third chance, All Stars 3. So I'm looking forward to seeing a big box roll into that workroom and her popping out of it and saying hallelujah.
Yeah, she was actually in season 4 too for a hot second.
Yeah.
I mean, I, for one, am going to riot if she does not have that ear of corn with her that she had in the first episodes of both seasons that she was on.
That was so funny.
I hope she still I hope it's the original corn. I think we need to do like a DNA test or something. We need to make sure it's real. But I do like Shangela a lot. I really liked her. I actually had not seen seasons 1 or 2 when I saw her in Bianca's movie, Hurricane Bianca. And I thought she did like a pretty good job in there. I didn't know who she was. I wasn't quite sure why she was on there. But then I watched the other seasons of RuPaul's Drag Race and I was like, wow, like she actually did a good job season 3. I love that they brought her back for that little cameo in season 4 to mess with the queens a little bit. And I think she's one of those like high energy queens. She's just really excited all the time. She's always on, kind of like Alyssa Edwards or Kenya Michaels. Yeah, Bob Queen. Bob the drag queen, not to be confused with Bob the librarian, as RuPaul would say. But yeah, I think that she's very, very high energy, and I think that's sometimes what hurts queens is they don't have that higher energy consistently throughout the season. So I hope she comes back bucking and kicking and ready to take some more risks and bring back that ear of corn, please.
Hallelujah.
Time to look back at season 8, Thorgy Thor.
Thorgy Thor. She was one of the 3 New York queens, along with Acid Betty and Bob, the drag queen. She's very entertaining, very funny. Sometimes she was one of those queens that had so many things going through her head that she wanted to do in a challenge, but just didn't know how to like take it down a notch or 2, and just kind of give us something very to the point. I remember in one of the challenges, Michelle Visage was directing her and just kept saying, clock's ticking, and Thorgy would be like, oh, I have so much more I could do, and blah, 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 and so she's one of those queens that she's very creative, just doesn't know how to like edit it down to where she can get the point across. I know that she did have a lot of friction with Bob the drag queen, always giving him side eye when he won a challenge. But Thorgy did very well throughout the season because she was always up there in like the top 2 or 3. just didn't win the challenge. I mean, a couple of challenges she was top 2, and she kind of reminded me of Sasha Velour for season 9. Sasha was always in the top 2 and just didn't win that challenge. So Thorgy was a very strong competitor for season 8, and I think that she'll do very well in season 3 of All Stars. But yeah, I mean, I'm just looking forward to seeing what she'll bring.
I think Thorgy Thor, she's got a lot she's going to need to bring in order to keep up with these girls, because I think her biggest frustration, like you said, was with Bob. It was a queen that was so similar to her and did what she did just a little bit better, and she fell just shy every single episode of winning those kinds of things that Bob was winning. And I think that she's going to run into that same problem this season if she's not careful, because All Stars is the fan favorites and the funny queens. So, I mean, in season 8, there was just a couple funny queens, and she had trouble standing above them. This season's going to be a lot of funny queens. So, I really hope that she shows up ready to go and ready to, like, keep that competitive spirit, like, down a little bit so she's not getting so frustrated. I agree. Like, editing was a big thing for her. She kind of really needs drag Ritalin, because she was just a little bit all over the place. She had so much good, but it was just too, like, less was more. She needed to edit a little bit, and I think that's ultimately, I agree, that's what ended up hurting her. I like to see that she's been kind of interviewing the queens for some of the other seasons when they go on, like, on the runway. She's kind of like the Joan Rivers type character that they have on there. So I think that that's opened some doors for her, and she's probably, like, learned a lot, and she'll be able to represent herself better on this season. Trixie Mattel.
Trixie Mattel, season 7. I like Trixie a lot. A lot of people talk about her like they just love her to death.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not up at that level with Trixie. Her makeup is, to me, it's really good, but it's just a little too clownish. And I know that's her aesthetic. She's trying to look like a Trixie doll, but and she's also known for being a comedy queen. And I don't know, like I like her, but then like I'm not in love with her like some people are. As far as All Stars 3, I think she'll do pretty well. I mean, she's a funny queen. She was known for her comedy, and she's going to be pitted a lot against the queens in All Stars 3 that are as funny, or if not funnier. So it's going to be interesting to see how she fans with these other queens for this season. But season 7, though, I don't know. Like, she kind of felt like she wasn't very in tune with who she was during that season.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she did get sent home, I thought, pretty prematurely, but then she did get a second chance to come back, and she did pretty well in that challenge with Dave Walters, those funny movies. Remember, she did the eggs with.
Oh yeah.
That was pretty. She did very well at that challenge, but then she made it to top 6 and got sent home again. But I don't know. I think she'll do pretty decent for this season. We'll see.
I think what Trixie learned most is that she plays well with others. So I think if Katya hadn't been like suffering from so much anxiety in season 7, that her and Trixie, like, I mean, we see them now on YouTube. They are amazing together, and they play off each other. They're great. I think that if Katya had been more on her game as well that season, that her and Trixie would have become the two-headed monster of the season, just like Shea Coulee and Sasha Velour were. They worked together well. They teamed up a lot, and they won a lot of challenges together. I think that they would have done so well as a dynamic duo. And they talked about how close of friends that they became during that season, but I didn't really see it happening. So I think that, like, Trixie, I don't want to say because she stands on her own, but she does a good, like, tit for tat back and forth with someone else. So I think that if she kind of finds someone in All Stars to do that with, she's going to shine on her own individually, but allowing someone else to develop and shine with her. So I'm really excited to see that side of Trixie. I'm surprised you came for her makeup. I mean, she's not quite as, like, light on her makeup as Bianca Del Rio is, and things like that. And if she had won season 7, I don't think RuPaul would have been able to afford 2 clowns to stand on as their replacements for the season 8 photo shoot.
Yeah.
I mean, clowns, that's a lot of budget.
I mean, the thing I don't like about her makeup is that the way she does her lips and then the eye makeup. It's just like, if you're going to do one, if you're going to like exaggerate one feature on your face, do one. Don't do your eyes in your mouth because it's too much to look at, in my opinion. I don't know.
I will agree. I like that her makeup's different, but at the same time, I feel like with her makeup, it doesn't matter what she wears because all you're looking at is her makeup.
Face,
yeah. So I would agree there. I think that, I mean, I would never ask someone to change their aesthetic.
I mean, it's working for her. I mean, she's doing very well in the drag world, but for me personally, having seen 100 drag queens come through RuPaul, her makeup to me is just the most out there, and it's the hardest to look at.
Yeah, I would say that, like, if she's going to keep her makeup the same, which it's a part of her thing, she needs to make the rest of her complement that. So she kind of gives this, like, glamorous Barbie doll kind of look, but that's not really who she is. So I think that she is going to find herself a little bit in this season, and she's learned a lot. I think her personality is going to come through more this season. So let's talk a little bit more of the components of RuPaul's All-Stars, or RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars Season 3. It's a mouthful. But do you think that there's going to be lip sync for your legacy again this season like there was last season?
I mean, I think that there might be a chance that there will be. I've just noticed that in All-Stars 1, it was teams. You know, they were paired up with another drag queen, and they did the elimination where both queens went home. Season 2 was the lip sync for your legacy, and then the winner got to choose one of the bottom queens to go home. But if they're keeping it that momentum, then I think there's a chance that they will do something different for Season 3. If not, then the lip sync for your legacy is definitely a good game changer for the competition.
I definitely hope they keep the lip sync for your legacy. I think that there might be some tweaks in order that might need to happen. What I disliked about it in All-Stars 2 was there was alliances. I mean, we can say there wasn't. I mean, I don't think that Alaska shouldn't have won. I think she was one of the most talented people there. I just don't feel like that she won in the right way. And I think that's what really hurt her. But also it brought kind of the drama to the season that made it one of the most successfully and one of the most watched seasons of Drag Race. So I think that it was beneficial. I think if I were to suggest a tweak to it is that it wouldn't necessarily be the queens who win the lip sync sending someone home. Maybe somehow tying that to the judges. My only suggestion would be is like if, say, Michelle or whoever the other judges that's typically there, or if it's RuPaul, like maybe RuPaul and Michelle can each bet on a different top queen that's doing the lip sync, and then if their queen wins, then that judge gets to pick who goes home. I don't necessarily like that they can eliminate the best competition, because if someone's eliminating the best competition, then we're going to be left with like the okay people that are left. So I think we want to have a competitive season.
Well, I mean, I think that if they did get rid of the best competition, then it would give the other queens who aren't the best competition to step up their game and become that competition. I mean, I think that it can go either way. You know, if people who are just kind of coasting through the season and aren't giving it their all, that seeing the better, you know, the more competitive queens, the more polished queens leave, it might cause them to step up their game and say, hey, I need to, you know, like step it up if I want to stay in this competition. So, I mean, I think it can go either way.
I think the lip sync for your legacy would go better this season too, because there aren't any clear alliances. There are some people from the same season, but they weren't necessarily buddy-buddy best friends. I mean, not only did they throw a clique into All-Stars Season 2, but they also threw in other people from Season 5 as well. So there's somewhat of an alliance there.
Well, if you look back, All-Stars Season 2 was the top 6 of Season 5 minus the winner. I mean, it was, because Alyssa was top 6, Coco was top 5, Detox top 4, Roxy and Alaska were top 3. So it was pretty much the top half of Season 5.
Yep.
And then 5 other girls. But, I mean,
I kind of wish they would have saved some of season 5 for later seasons because they've kind of tapped out season 5. So, all right. So, who are our top 3 picks for who's going to make it to the top 3 of All Stars season 3?
In my personal opinion, I think Thorgy Thor is going to be a strong player. Just because she was up there in her season. I think that Ben de la Creme will come back and, with that wow factor and get herself in the top 3. And for me, it's a toss between Kennedy and, I don't know. See, I like Milk a lot, but I don't know if he'll make it to the top 3, but that's just my opinion. He's very out there. He didn't do too well in season 6, but, he's come a long way. But for me, it's a toss-up between Kennedy and Milk because, Kennedy is obviously, she's still doing her thing. She's out there performing. And she's always been a polished queen, so it's going to be hard to tell.
I think that Ben de la Creme's going to be in the top 3 for sure. She's very polished. She's very professional. I think that Shangela's going to make it up to the top 3. She's been doing a lot. She's really become more well-rounded as we've seen things go on.
But wait, if you think about it, the last 2 All-Stars have been top 4.
Well, there was a top 3 for the final lip sync, though. Like, Roxy got sent... Like, they did, the most of the episode with Roxy in it, but then when it came to, the lip sync for your life at the end, it was a top 3.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Traditionally, most seasons have, a top 3. And even All-Stars 1, they eliminated one more person. Like, they eliminated one of a pair, and then it was Raven, Chad, Michaels, and who was it Jujubee? I don't remember, but there was a top 3.
Yeah.
And then I would say for my 3rd pick, I know this is a huge gamble because we don't know who they are yet, but I would gamble that the Mystery Queen's probably going to be in the top 3, depending on who they are, because I feel like and hang on there. Like, I feel like usually when RuPaul brings back someone and makes a big deal out of it, he's not going to let them go home right away, because if he makes a big deal out of it, it's going to make him look a little foolish. If we look at when they brought back when they brought back Shangela before, she made it pretty far, and I didn't always necessarily think she should have made it as far as she did in some of the episodes. I think overall she did an amazing job, but there were some things where she should have been in the bottom 2 or possibly up for elimination. And then if we look back at oh my gosh, I'm blanking on her name. She came back for season Cynthia Lee Fontaine. There was Ru brought her back, made a big deal about her being a mystery, additional queen, and I love her to death, but I don't think that she really competitively stood up as much as some of the other ones did, but she lasted a lot longer than I would have expected.
Yeah, she only lasted 4 episodes in season 9 and only 3 episodes in season 8. Cynthia Lee Fontaine, she's a great person, but she wasn't the full package. She didn't have what the other queens had, and I think it hurt her more than anything. So
yeah, I think she's definitely super, super talented. I just don't think that television is her place to shine. I think that performing as a drag queen in the clubs and things like that is her place to shine. So who are you rooting for the most?
I want to say Milk. I love Milk to death. I think that she's phenomenal. I like the drag that I see on Instagram. He just puts together some amazing stuff, and I really, really hope that he does get up to the top because he's pretty awesome.
I think my top pick for who I want to win, I think actually could take the crown, is Ben de la Creme. I think that if Bianca Del Rio wasn't in her season, the chemistry of that season would have been 100% different. People would have shined for 100% different reasons. And I think that, like she says, the cream would have rose to the top, and I think that she would have been in the top. So I think that Ben de la Creme's really got everything she needs to win this. It's just whether or not she's ready to bring it. But yeah, I really hope she's my pick. So who do we think the 10th queen's going to be? The mystery queen.
Well, we've had this discussion before.
We have. We've been talking about it for months.
Well, if you remember on the reunion episode of All Star season 2, we remember Adore Delano
Mm-hmm.
flaked out for the Snatch Game episode just because she couldn't handle
The
the
critiques.
critiques and being judged again on the runway. And to be honest with you, she came back and was completely sloppy and lazy. I mean, I know that she claims to have this aesthetic where, she's grunge and, she can't crowd set in a corset. I mean, it's not even about that, but, if you're going to come into an all-star, competition where you're competing against the best in the world in this industry, you have to step up your game. You cannot come in there like, thinking, oh, well, I'm going to stick to my aesthetic and I'm still going to,
Mm-hmm.
make it through this competition. And no, I mean, back to the point, back to the question. I think that because in All Stars 2, the reunion episode, RuPaul looked at Adore and said, "So Adore, All Star season 3, you in?" And then he did that evil laugh and then was like, "Yeah, I'm down." So I mean, and I think that there's a very strong possibility that it's going to be Adore.
I also worry that's going to be Adore. If it is Adore, I'm not going to be happy, and it's not because I hate Adore. It's because, I mean, I very strongly criticize Adore, and it's kind of for the same reasons that you do. I don't feel that she's as polished as anyone else is, and my big fear for this competition is Rue is the drag mother for many, many queens. She's got, 113 drag daughters now or something? I have no idea. I can't keep track.
It's up there.
But I think that Adore is probably one of the nearest and dearest to her heart because she kind of sees so much of herself in Adore. And Michelle's very close to Adore, and she really is a fan favorite. But I feel like Adore threw her chance away, and I don't think that she should get a second opportunity unless we're going to open the doors for other queens from previous All-Star seasons to get second opportunities. Because there's a lot I'd like to see. There's a lot of people in All-Star Season 2 that I would like to see come back and have another chance at the crown. But they had their chance. They made their choices. And I think Adore made a choice. And she shouldn't be allowed to come back. Now, a lot of other people are saying that they're theorizing that the winner of Season 1 is going to come back because drag's changed so much. Who was the winner of Season 1?
I don't remember. BB something?
BB Sahara Bonet? Actually, Season 1's the one season I have not seen.
I watched it one time a long time ago,
And I think that's to the point is the previous winner, she really didn't get that kind of fame some of the other queens did, and didn't get the same amount of prize money for sure, that she might be the person that comes back and kind of has to like compete against a new batch of drag queens. But I don't think there's been too many other theories about who the 10th queen is. Some people have thrown out Eureka, but like they invited her to season 10, so I think that they're going to stick to that. Other theories I've heard were for Fifi O'Hara because she needed a redemption of her redemption, I guess. I don't know quite what's going on there.
I think Fifi burned her bridges with Drag Race.
Yeah, I think so too. What would you say if the mystery queen was Willem?
That would not surprise me. I know that Willem has been doing a lot of stuff on the side. He's been involved with a lot of the RuPaul girls, so I mean, that really wouldn't surprise me. I wouldn't have a problem with it. I mean, Willem's very funny, very entertaining, very polished. I think that would be a good match actually if it was Willem.
Yeah, I think that would be a good surprise because the impression that I've gotten is there's kind of a disconnect between RuPaul's Drag Race and Willem now. He's one of the first queens ever thrown off. And I could see that, or actually the only queen that was ever thrown off. And I could see this being a good redemption for her and also it being that much of that shocking to have her come back because it's someone that we've kind of counted out for so long. And I'd love to see Willem come back and kind of be forced to face up to some of those critiques again because I'm kind of back and forth. I love her performances and her parody songs and things like that, but then some of the things that she says are offensive and hurtful, and she's kind of learned from that, and she's had to develop and apologize, and she's had to become a more apologetic queen, and she's kind of the queen of no apologies, or she likes to say RuPaulogizing. So I think that she would also be a great contender for that mystery queen spot. So that's really all that we have for this episode. I'm really excited for this season to start. We'll have new content for you guys later this week. And this is Nick signing off. If you like this episode of Nick's Nerd Network, please like and subscribe. If you have different opinions or would like to share some of your ideas, please share these in the comment section below. Please keep it constructive and friendly. Thanks so much for watching and have a wonderful day.